Hey everybody, good morning. And let's see, we've got Helen, David, Donald, Gaten. Oh, you're welcome, man. I mean, I tried to be on top of it. We kind of got it right? We got a choppy pullback into the election. Now we've got that pop. Now let's talk about what we can expect moving forward this morning. So I appreciate the kind words there, Gaten. And it's finally Friday. Jan Svinborn. Hopefully everything's cool there in Iceland. Sergio, hopefully Florida's doing all right. Michael out in California. Craig, Dan, Stephen, JB, Leah, Ted, good morning. Channel member Ted. Jan, Diana, good to see you. Gus, I don't recognize your name, but welcome to the stream. Channel member Ivan, channel member Joseph, channel member Frank. Glad to see everybody. Merle, Cliff, Robert, Rungamer from Lake Erie. Skipping work, man. Tell you what. Take an extra week off being sick, and then you go up to Lake Erie. Just joking with you. Alan, Zoob, Roland, Rick. Good morning, everybody. Zoob, I still owe you, man. I'll get you. I'll get you one day soon. Trying to work out some things with the company, but make sure I can follow through on promises and they don't claim things. So, all right. Welcome, everybody. Now, what do we expect coming into the election? Well, we expected either a giant pop with tech earnings, didn't get it. We got the path 2, which was the kind of choppy drop into the election and FOMC. And then it turns out I was wrong on FOMC. We didn't get any kind of reaction at all. It just kind of, whatever. I thought we might get a bigger reaction for that. Turns out no. So I guess the market was holding its breath, hoping maybe that Trump would win. And there we go. The challenger won. Trump will be the new president in January. But we still have the rest of November, the rest of December, and 3 weeks out of January before that swap occurs. So there's still plenty of time for things to happen. I mean, maybe they can't get anything done. Maybe they can. I don't know. We'll see what happens. They can certainly run up the debt. I mean, 3 weeks prior to, I guess now it's been 4 weeks ago, but in the last 4 weeks, they've run up over $500 billion in debt. I mean, and we've got a lot more than 4 weeks left. So they could run that number up ridiculously high between now and then. I'd almost guarantee they're going to try to spend all the money that they've earmarked out for special projects between now and when they leave the office. So we'll see what happens. So things that could potentially work out. So we're seeing that near-term pop. We're probably on a path to get on up on the S&P, probably up to possibly as high as 6,600. I would kind of expect somewhere around 62, 6,300 to maybe be a top. So that's an area to watch for a reaction. 66. Why 66? I just, there's a lot of fib lines, a lot of confluence, and a lot of things that all come together about that high. Rewind, 2 years ago, for those of you that have been with me that long? Actually, it's 3 years ago. 2021? 2022. 2022. Yeah, 2 years ago, really. I was saying that this next leg could take us to 6,000. We are right at that point. All right. Kind of shocked at the way we got here. Never know the path. That's I've tried to be clear on that. So we're looking for more upside. Possibly, Q1, Q2, still my potential topping zone. I think we're going to get a pullback we'll probably get 2 or 3 pullbacks between now and the top. We'll see. We could just go blowing off top. If we go blow off top, it's the pullback's going to be violent and nasty. All right. So probably going higher. That's post-election rally. This one will probably fade a little bit, and then we could probably share a chart here. So we've got the median path all years and presidential election years. Usually on the market seeing some clarity, we get the pop, and then we drift on higher. So That's just indexed from the beginning of the year. Now, this year, interestingly enough, on a typical presidential year, we're up slightly into the election. This year, we were up quite a bit. Quite a bit. And if we go, that's interesting. My TradingView chart is non-existent. Well, may have to... That was there a second ago, and now it's not. And let's kibosh the browser there. Hopefully it doesn't take the whole machine down. Something was amiss here. Restore the session. And there we go. So when we look at the year, pop it up to a big time frame, make it simple. 2024, right there was the start. Okay, cool. 2024, right there was the start. And we have come up, well, now we've got the election, but we were up about 20%, 24% roughly. That's not typical. All right, based on this right here. Typical, look, this indexed on 100, all right? So we're already up here. And how high do we push it into the end of the year? Now, the typical election sees a 4% bump after the election. We've already kind of seen a pretty good bump, and so set your expectation there. But we could see continued rally. All right, could see that. Now, that's number one. Number two, equity investor positioning. What can we expect, right? And we saw a lot of people a lot of hedge funds getting really negative coming into the election. That was one of the things I was kind of harping on, is we were set for a potential got to catch up, and I think that's what we're seeing here, right here. All right, got to catch up, and big tech is the one that's really been the beneficiary here. So watch out for a negative reaction as we get in this area. That would be very expected. It's that 21.4 on NQ, NDX. We're right there at it. Talking about that 21.1, possibly a little higher. 21.150. We could push it all the way up to 21.5 on NASDAQ cash index right there. I do expect some sort of pause, or possibly even a multi-week. It could possibly go into a multi-month type of choppiness before we got the final move up. And that's what could take us into Q1, Q2 of 2025. All right. So as we've seen, there's problems, right? There's Treasury yields right there. We're seeing rates falling, rates rising. And this is equities typically struggle to digest very sharp increases in interest rates. All right. So we're seeing those, for those of you that this is what we're seeing those treasuries turn. And the DGS2 over here, that 2-year constant maturity rate, look at that. That's up a 3/4 point in a month and a half, roughly. That's a sharp interest rate, all right? DGS5. Look at that one. Nice big fat pop right there. Almost a whole point. DGS10. Almost a full point. And that's the 10-year. Like that talked about a lot. All right. I talk about that one a lot. Being affecting the market. But look, this thing's very, very chaotic here. The DGS10. Whereas the DGS2, type it correctly, follows more closely to the Fed funds rate. And that's, so we dropped it by 1/4 point yesterday. But the real market rate, the real treasury rate, is rapidly increasing. All right, when we see a rapid increase, 1 to 2 points, it's where we see problems coming in to the stock market. All right, it's a liquidity hiccup. So these are things to, like, the things you're not hearing on mainstream media, people talking about. So we need to be careful, and we'll probably see some rotation among the markets right here. We've already seen big tech and AI kind of being the big play for the year, but we have things that aren't really performing. All right. You got your Republican basket of policy stocks, things that can potentially benefit. Some of my Term Trading Lab people have been asking, what could benefit. Typically, your renewables and your infrastructure are going to see, we've already seen some of those pulling back. All right. We've seen fossil fuels kind of possibly turning the, as they, the drill, baby thing. So those possibly could take advantage. Financials popped huge. They may get a pullback. We're seeing Russell 2000 really performing. Small business exposure, that's kind of hand in hand right there. And so these are the things to kind of watch for. We're going to see some sector rotation, and things that were performing are going to perform. Things that were underperforming are going to perform, and then things that were outperforming are probably going to underperform. That's probably the way this goes, and usually more toward the end of the year. So we're getting there. More toward the end of the year, I look at what was performing, what was underperforming, and I try to kind of pick a couple of the darlings that I think are going to start outperforming into the new year. So we'll have that in the coming weeks. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you keep coming back. At least watch this a couple times a week. One time a week. Just keep paying attention. These are recorded in perpetuity. You put it on in the background. You don't actually have to watch the charts unless you just want to see what I'm pointing at. DOCS. Oh, we should not look at it on that chart. We should look at it over here. Boom. Look at that. Holy bananas. I did not hold that position. I got out. Beautiful right there. This one, I think I just probably booked profit. Nice. Really nice. Look at that. Beautiful pop. Beautiful. Anybody riding along on that one? Let me know. 93. Next upside target right there. We're sitting at 86. I think the overnight pop was even bigger. Probably hit 93. This may be done for now. That was a beautiful trade. I think I got into it back in April, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but we did experience a bigger drawdown. Then look at that rocket ship. Beautiful. Look at that. The opportunity here. Even if you had just done shares, you didn't do options. Like 39. That's more than a double. More than a double right there. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Jason, nice. 300%. Love it. Love it, love it. All right. We've got all sorts of things moving. We'll talk about it here. So ES, let's jump down. That's kind of my post-election world. We'll have sector rotation. We'll see different things happening. And tariffs. I guess international stuff. Companies that produce goods in other places may have some trouble. Trump talking about potentially trying to institute a nice tax break for people that make things in the United States. So we could see a lot of manufacturing stuff, but that's not immediate. That's going to be down the road. All right. These are longer term, not going to happen overnight type of situations. So you got to get it in your mind, like what can affect us today and what can affect us 4 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. They cut $2 trillion out of the spending. That's going to hurt, it's gonna sting. It's gonna, like, rip the Band-Aid. It's gonna hurt. How long does it hurt? You tell me. That's potentially 25% of the government spending that hits the economy. I don't think that's just gonna go over. Might go over like a lead-filled balloon. Got to be careful. Well, if you're in light, you might consider booking, protecting profit, the upside limited compared to where we came from. And I think that was pretty much the last. I'm looking through my charts I brought just to make sure I didn't have another point I wanted to talk about. And watch those P. They say, the chart I have is watch the PEs, but PS, price to sales, is really the one I caution on. BidF, look at that. Or BTF, excuse me. Nice pop. And getting lots of stuff firing off. Now, one I was talking to Rongamurray about yesterday. Look at this really, really briefly here. Yeah, that's almost to the target. Almost there. So if we just look at NVIDIA's performance this year, we set this to a percentage. All right. Then we compare this baby. Look at the underperformance here. NVIDIA up 200% versus Tesla up 20%. You can say, well, Tesla's not really an AI company, but the We Robot event last month argues greatly different. If this were to catch up even 50%, look at the upside, 80% upside. It'd be pretty wild. Pretty wild. So, things to keep in mind, I guess. Where might opportunity be? Where might the laggards be? So, as I talked about Amazon for a long time, that it was underperforming on the big tech rally. Now look where we are, catching up in a big way. Still has that upside target up here. We never did this little retrace didn't quite get that big. I don't know. Still could have a bigger retrace in it. This could still be winding up with 1-2s, 1-2, 1-2, and be winding up for the bigger move here. We could be looking at a pop-up here for Amazon. Really wanted to see the bigger retrace before we got that bigger pop. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough grind higher on Amazon. So I'm just kind of talking through some of the potential upside opportunities for the future. Always on the lookout for stuff like Light. It's a banging opportunity. One that somebody suggested I take a look at was right here. Kind of already done this setup right here. Look, that move up, that retrace, higher low. This was on the radar before, but it looked like it was going to take too long. Now look at the upside potential here. $171, $248, maybe even up to $395. That's pretty much a double just to here on shares. How long could this take? It could take a while. This might take out here 2027. Look at the climb rate. All right. Oh, you're welcome. I take a little more measured approach. I'm not so aggressive on the trades all the time. I do produce some banging stuff, forward active traders, you know, I've got my triple threat system for day trades. I've got my Apollo system for short-term swing trades. I've got Echo trades for a little bit longer swing trades. I've got daily setups for the Term Right Trading Lab members. That's like what we nailed on Amazon. This was a daily chart setup I talked about right here back in September. Booked that out yesterday. If you were here, we got in right here. Like, this is where I was talking about it, right there. That was the activation. There's the target. I brought another bonus trade today. We'll talk about it here in a minute. In Q, we're getting creeping up on the target. Creeping up. TQQQ. I actually booked out part of the profit. I was looking at it. I was like, the risk seems pretty great compared to the potential left. While I do still expect it to hit the target, I mean, on the daily chart setup, 94% of the time, but it's only half of a statistical population. Profit factor smoking hot. This is like Amazon almost. I expect it to get that continuation, but was I going to run out of time on my options? Could we get a pullback? And then I run out and basically take a loss on something that's going to turn around and take a win. So I may look at adding back if we get a pullback. But I booked out most of it. I have like one call left, I think, in several accounts. My dad's account, smoking hot. TSLL. This one just keeps rocking and rolling. I have thousands of shares of this. Why not? I booked out all the options. I did play options. I was playing with nitroglycerin in the factory, you know. You got to be careful. This can rock and roll on up to 34. Right there. It's a measured bounce. 34, possibly 52. That's what the leverage chart's showing us. Like right there, 24, right there, 34, right there, 52. If we get the continuation, all right? If it fails at any of these points, be ready to close profit. You know, book profit, close out. Can it keep going higher than that? Sure. Sure. Awesome work, everybody. So hopefully we keep nailing it, all right? And if you didn't catch a big piece of this, I'm sorry. I try. I try. You know, we got to protect the downside, but we also have to stay long. I stayed long into all this stuff. Now I'm booking profit like mad. This one looking like we're might gonna get a correction here. This went a little overboard on the exponential. May chop a little bit and may get the pullback. Like, that's what that's looking like. Looking like the bubble chart on a smaller time frame here. Look, the exponential chopping a little bit. That can come right back down. Just because small caps could benefit, it's going to take time. Like, they're not going to turn around overnight. And Trump's not even in office for 3 months. So lots of time for this, for reality to set in here. And drill, baby, drill is not positive for oil prices. You think about it. Potentially beneficial for oil companies, but not beneficial for oil prices. That may actually come back down again. If we break through the uptrend of lows, can go down for the bigger correction still. Love to hear any comments or questions in the chat if you got them. And if I'm no longer live, you can leave that comment down below. Gold, nice reprieve yesterday, but not getting continuation so far. This is one to keep an eye on. If this starts breaking back down, we're probably heading right down here. Now, as I talked about, 3 months left, basically, you know, the rest of November, December, and most of January. They can create inflation. Inflation probably going to cause this to pop. All right. Goes kind of hand in hand right now with the dollar. Dollar climbing. You know, this gold and the dollar kind of lockstep right now a little bit. At least currently. As the dollar popped, gold dropped. As the dollar dropped, gold popped. And now the dollar's climbing a little bit. And gold's having a red day. At least so far. Now, correlation is not causation. Causation, not correlation. This right here, they're just correlated when they're correlated, not when they're not. They're moving lockstep right now, but they can decide to do something completely different. So we may see the dollar break back down, test this, and go lower. All right. Let's keep an eye out. NKD getting a pullback. I really wanted to see that break out higher. Just watching for this to do yet another sub move in here. Hold this zone right here around 38.9. Turn higher, break back above these prior highs. Hopefully back above this high and get out to the 44,000 area. That could really take the whole market higher. All right. Then I've been watching this one too. I'd really like to see this one turn and burn here. That was a nice deep correction. It got really close to the roadmap line, though, and we may need one more dip before we can get the bigger recovery here. 35, 36, 37, and 40. Upside targets still left to go. This did turn down at the bigger picture 618 level. Hit it, turn back down. Could retest the breakout. Entirely possible before we can go on higher. Big picture, 55, 60. Looks like it's in the cards. All right. All right. I went and pulled everything moving $2 or more up, $2 or more down. I'm going to use my two patterns, market roadmap bounce and measured bounce, try to find opportunities in these charts, and hopefully we find something here today. I do have one set up. That's the bonus trade at the end, so stick around to the end if you want to see that. And make sure you give me a thumbs up or like if I go through anything that you like along the way. My buttons are working again. Finally figured it out. So AXON kind of played out for now. I would be very cautious. Let's go in exponential. May come back down. Light. Ooh, coming back down pretty violently there. DLCS. All these two in particular were two I had my eyes on for a little while here. I got out of that one already, but boom, right up in there. So next upside resistance up here at 75. If we get above that, we're probably going to go cruising right on up this 120 area on DOCS. Bill Holdings. That's coming up into these gap down areas. I would be cautious here. If we get up there, we may experience a pullback. Viva Systems. It's been a really rocky start. That does have a kind of a measured bounce setup in here. We could see a larger upside. Not liking the way this started out. Could be looking for something up in this 250 to 280 area right there. And Bitcoin just doing the Bitcoin thing. You know, you want to see Bitcoin, it's just sitting there at the resistance. That was the extension. That 76.6 was the non-log extension, and we're just parked right there. We do have opportunity going up. It's just boring. Like there's no. We sat there for 2 days. There's nothing to talk about. Could we get extension? Yeah. Could we pull back? Yeah. Very real. Like right now, we're just at that extension. What next? Good question. So VIV, upside potential, upstarts into that resistance where we gap down. Watch for a negative reaction, but if we can beat it, There is potential. Now, this low doesn't really mean anything, so this may or may not mean anything. We don't really have prior chart here. If we get above that 109 area, possibly 683, yeah, that'd be absolute crazy, right? You could potentially buy shares and get a 10 times upside. That'd be a wild thing. But also, it could break back down below the roadmap line. You probably want a GTFO. We may go lower. Yen and the yang. Yang plummeting out the abyss. China bears. I kind of mentioned that they kind of all needed to come back to the roadmap line. A lot of those charts and like C-Web kind of needs to pull on back. A lot of these things look like they aren't quite done consolidating. BABA, this just may go sideways until we can meet the roadmap line out here in the future. So we may see some lackluster performance. FIVN 5.9, back to the roadmap line. Watch for resistance. That gap fill may get a negative reaction here. That looks like it could be done on the downside, but it's got some work to do. Got to get back up above this to really confirm we're going to go higher again. That's a long way up. That's like 2.5 times higher. But then another almost triple higher from there. Beautiful upside potential, but not looking so great. EXPE. Crushing targets. Didn't do the breakdown. Upside potential. Potentially up around 200. And then the bigger pattern over here. Potentially 451 and 700 up here. Longer term upside potential. Might it do it? I don't know. Let's be more conservative. Take it off log mode. Could just be the 263, 300 area. Might be maybe more the style here. Maybe late 25, possibly 26. INOD. That looks like it's going to pull back. FTRE. Nice pop into the roadmap line. Doesn't confirm we're done on the downside yet, but it could be. Lowest low after the IPO. We're going to have some sort of build off of that low. BNTX. Potentially holding the roadmap line, but I'd be very careful. Biotech here has not been looking so hot. We did the big bubble pattern. Is this done to the downside, or are we going to flush it on down back closer to 20 or 30, 50 area? Home Depot, hit the target, pulling back. Roadmap line would be where I would be watching for. Root, spike that target. May come all the way back down again. This is like that bubble pattern, right? Spike up, consolidate, drop back down. Watch out. Energy, getting a nice run. That's extensions, possibly up to 115, but watch for a pullback. MSTR, $1,000 price target. I mean, that'd be absolutely wild if we do it. Anywhere from 700 to 1,400. It's pretty wide, but it's a pretty wild one right there. If Bitcoin keeps going, we can break on through that 76. We got to get above that 80,000 area to really get some legs on Bitcoin. Toast. That's a rough one right there. Hitting extensions. I don't see opportunity for me. LEU. Played out. Watch for the retrace. MSTU. That's 2x leverage on MicroStrategy. DXYZ in a pop. How high could it go? It could go up here ridiculous, and then watch out. It can come right back down. Not the thing I like to play. I don't like to gamble like that. I like to make calculated plays that are likely to work out. This move up, this retrace right there. Potential to pop up into the 618 resistance on GCT. WBTN. And that, I'm not sure that's not going down lower. Webtoon Entertainment. I have no idea what these guys, I mean, obviously they're Webtoons. They probably put out something on YouTube or something. Just caught my so I guess contract animation. What this is. Interesting. Looks like more into the manga type stuff. Anyway, chart doesn't look too hot. DPST. Back down. This may give it up. Watch out for banking. That was a pop on Trump, and we may pull back. Remember, the environment doesn't change for 3 years, all right? I mean, for 3 months, 3 years. That three-wave up with a lot of corrective, overlappy, choppy stuff. If we start overlapping, so we may find support here and go again. May find support at 120. If we can hold it and pop, we can go again. But if we break down below that 120 area, that's where we're probably coming back down here. All right. So things moving down, $2 or more. Decliners, ANET. Probably that was played out. Watch for the retrace to the roadmap line. TTD. Woo, watch for the retrace to the roadmap line. ASML. I think this looks like a common thing I've said for a few weeks here. DE. Watch for the retrace to the roadmap line. Airbnb. Trying to break higher. Got smacked again. Let's see what we got. That high, this low, right at the 618. Imagine that. Imagine that. We pull back to the roadmap line at the 618. So watch for this to break through that 618 resistance. Could you pick it up as an opportunity now? Yeah, I would probably be looking for shares or something I can hold long term. I would think there's some sort of, I'd be surprised. Yeah. Those are not in the US though. Leverage on Airbnb. I would think there'd be like one of those crazy leverage things on Airbnb, but I don't see any. Not in the US anyway. Going to be a there's one. There's a yield max. That's income strategy. And ABNY. You think it'd be like ABNU? Yep, nothing so far. Surprised there's not a Airbnb leveraged. Be something to hold some shares of long term, because that could be onto a pop that would take us on up higher. Net just hanging at the breakout level here. That's that 618. We get above it, we could start pushing this on up to this 120, 130 area. EVH. that is pulling back. So we want to see it break through that 618.97. This may hit the roadmap line again. Just realized I didn't finish saying all the things that were going through my head. EVH on a downtrend channel, poking below, not great. Watch for the deeper breakdown that could go lower low. We're down below the 618. We're gonna have to switch to guns here. And so support on the log mode right down here around $8. Not great for EVH. FNGU going for it. 627. We'll see. Filled that gap. Got above it yesterday. 627 on the upside. TDW plummeting into the abyss. We're at a point where if we don't hold here, we may see a substantial decrease down to here around $40. Watch out for that one. FLR. Probably coming back to the roadmap line. Roadmap line. Look at this. Look at how many times. Like, hit, 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 hit. What do you expect here? Hit. They're just patterns, all right? Like, AKAM. Why is the roadmap what it is? Because I found it reliably produces patterns, all right? Why don't I use like the 2050 like everybody else? Because I find it doesn't reliably produce patterns you can trade. So that's the magic, all right? Like, found something that works for me, that's reliable. That pulling back again. Got to break above here to go higher. If you want the roadmap line, links in the description, or you can click my channel name underneath me. Go watch that video. If you're a DIYer, I'll give you the code, all for free. If you're more of a, I just want to click the easy button and put it on my chart. One of the comments earlier, I think it was earlier this week, she said, "Holy cow, that was the easiest indicator I've ever installed." And it's literally like I click the button and it's in your favorites to put it on the chart. It's like that easy. SG, watch for this to retrace right there. FUTU. It's another one of those China related things that looks like it wants to come back to the roadmap line. The yen, like I said, looks like that wants to come on down along with CWeb and the others. CAT, probably going to retrace. ESTA, CAT, big infrastructure thing. If we're going to spend on that, might be bullish. That's 5 up though. At this point, we would expect a retrace. Just circling back, like extra things popping in my head. Like we may retrace. Look where the 618 is, right there. If we did that, that's like a potential rocket ship for the next move higher right there. So this is an important level right there on CAT. If we bounce down there, hold it, and turn, could be a very nice upside in a speedy way. So ESTA not looking great. Pins. Oh. 3 up, right back down. This could be working on some sort of reversal. We're right at the point where we got to hold it. So break back up. We turn down at the roadmap line. We're going to have to turn here, turn it and burn it in order to salvage this one. Otherwise, we break back below this low and we could be looking at a substantial further decline on pins. NTES. Glad I told Kimberly to GTFO at 40. It's been pretty much suffering ever since. NTES potentially going to break down further. CWeb, like I said, needs to come back to the roadmap line. BABA needs to come back to the roadmap line. These could just sit and churn until the roadmap line comes up to them. SCCO, Southern Copper. Be careful. Like globally, we have, like, if Trump starts implementing tariffs and it creates a global slowdown, some of these things like copper demand could plummet out the basement. This still is a bearish chart setup on copper. You notice copper not buying this big up in the market. This is a setup. 1, 2 for potential big flush. Now, if we do go lower low, and this happens in the next couple weeks to couple months, if this happens right here, that's an opportunity to get long AF on copper, especially if it holds support and starts turning. This can go mega big up. All right, mega big. How big? Let's look at this real quick. We've been in this correction since back here in 22. A dip, a pop, potential dip again. Make that lower low right in here sometime end of the year, beginning of next year. This can set this thing up. All right. That basically be a giant 1, 2 off the lows. We got a 1, 2, 1, 2. It's kind of like the silver trade idea. You're looking at like $7, $9, $12. Target right there. And then something even bigger because we have the 1, 2 potential there. Could be looking at 15 and 30. That also could be indicative that the dollar is going to go through some sort of hyperinflation situation, or not like mega inflation situation after we get this dip. It's one of those things. Good things come to those who wait. Don't get impatient. If you wait for the buying opportunity, could be large upside. PDD. Still hunting that breakout here. Got to get back above the roadmap line to indicate we're going higher. Otherwise, we might still need to touch that gap up situation right there where we consolidate for 2 days. If we start breaking down below that, though, might go lower low. Toyota Motors. Just consolidating right here. Looks like this is consolidation before another dip. This looks a lot like the Boeing flush right here, where we needed that lower low. We got it right there. This could be working on a reversal, but I'm not convinced yet. May need one more. It's not clear yet. Like, that's not cleaned up. That's not a nice, it didn't leave a big tail or anything like that. I was hoping for a bigger spike, hoping for this tail to be longer right down there. That would have looked better for going long, but we still have the roadmap line resistance before we can go even further up on Boeing and tech. So same on Toyota Motors, not quite down to the bottom yet. Tech just churning, potential for this to break on higher right up here, target at 57. And then we have the resistance coming in up there from that prior high. If we can break above that, going up to like 100 maybe. Rio Tinto, just consolidating. If we break out, we can go higher. We may break down and go lower. Doesn't want to be cautious about. Downside could be down to 34. Upside could be up to 130. DXJ. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. It's at a resistance if it can follow through 123, but if it breaks down back below the roadmap line, we could be looking at a significant retrace here. Baidu looks like it may be going to break down and make a lower low. Nasty. CMPO back to the roadmap line would be where I'd expect. Arlo going lower low, bounced off the roadmap line. MCHI back to the roadmap line eventually. TCOM target just above us, but watch for the retrace. ARM, watch for that to break down below the roadmap line. If we could break out above that resistance, going higher, I feel like a broken record. Palladium, indicating that industrial metals are having trouble. Copper, be careful here. That broke down. May go back to the lows. FTNT, breakout potentially to 98. Even with it was on the decliners list now, rocking and rolling higher. BHP, potential for this to try to get some kind of bottom action going here. Nice pop up, nice retrace. Definitely exceeded expectations on the bottom. And this move up, this retrace. But yeah, that potentially kicks it out to 50 up there. Not huge moves, and it may take a while, but yeah, 25% upside. Not like the 300 or 400, 500 I was talking about on some other stuff. All right, bonus trade for the day. Remember to give me a like, thumbs up, share if you find something beneficial. So this one right here, here's the trade. That high, this low, potential 140 on the upside. Pretty nice. JT, what is statistics? We know you have them. I do. And right here we go. Copy and I don't ever get anything ready beforehand. I'm always a procrastinator. Anyway, AFG target 140.67, $6.43 upside from the open today. 79% win rate on 44 trades since 1978. So it's a nice long history. Statistically significant gains. Not the biggest at only 1.29. Upside for the, the losses kind of eating into the gains a little bit, but 80% chance roughly that we'll get that upside. Not a bad shake right there. Not a bad shake. If that's the kind of thing you want to go after, right there, potential. Not bad. 140.67, the official upside number. I missed touching the exact little doodads there. And that's what we got right there. Potential right in there. How long? 40 days on average. That's trading days, not calendar days. Trading days. The candle maker is not open on the weekend, so we'll be looking at 40 bars on average. Put us out 2 months. Sometime in January expiration. Now that only gives you the average. These can sometimes last 2 times the average, so we're talking 80 bars, 3 times the average. Amazon lasted 2 times the average, so we could be out to March. Shares would be a real option here. All right. Now, bias for the day. Looking like we might push on higher. NASDAQ still needs to tag that target. Now, when this gets there, when this hits, watch for a reaction. That's the thing to watch. Watch NASDAQ. Probably going to push higher. Probably going to get up there in the next day or maybe next week. Could be today, could be next week. Once we do that, be careful. All right, we do have another week of earnings season coming up next week. After that, we're pretty much through most of the S&P 500. We'll kind of start scaling back, I think, after next week. Do still have some numbers. NVIDIA still hanging out here well into... And we got another 12 days, another 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks before that one hits. That'll kind of mark the end of the biggest impact of earnings. So that's what we got to look forward to there. As far as calendar goes, looking into next week, got a bank holiday on Veterans Day. Thank you to all the veterans on Monday. Market's still open though. I'll be here. Same bad time, same bad channel. I appreciate all of you. General Rush, Captain Slidge, Lieutenant Colonel Goose, Major John, All the other ones that haven't told me what you are, I do appreciate everybody, what you've done, what you did do, and how you continue to support everything. Wednesday, CPI. So that'll be an interesting everything coming up here. So Thursday, PPI, unemployment. Friday, core retail sales. So next week we're getting a little spicy on the economic news front. Should be interesting. Then we're coming. Look at this, Thanksgiving coming up right there. Dang, man. This month gonna be gone. My son graduates culinary school right there, so I'll be out part of the day that on Friday. Already graduating culinary school. Then we're on to see what he does next. So have a great day, everybody. We'll see you again next week on Monday. Same bad time, same bad channel. We'll do it all over.